Hi, Kamlesh.
Yeah, good. Good to have you. How's you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here on this.
Good to have you,
On.
Suku. Before I progress, so anybody who's listening us, Suku is a hardcore sales professional, and the reason of the intention of this entire call कि मुझे relate कराना था sales का आपकी personal life में impact कैसे होता है, and Suku would be the prominent example with respect to he has been living the sales over the last 2 decades. So Suku, अगर आपने अपने बारे में कुछ बता सकते हो with respect to what are you doing currently and how have you been progress in your career so far?
So, before I speak about what I'm doing currently, I would like to talk about how I got started with sales. Well, it's a very interesting story, but I'll keep it short. So, my career ambition was to be in the Indian Army, and I'd been to Allahabad for my Combined Defense Services interview. I didn't get through, unfortunately, and I landed back in Bangalore in a very dejected state. And then one of my friend took me for an interview to HCL for an interview, and I got through the interview, and I got into sales. So that's how I got into sales. It was by chance, not by choice. And it's been a great journey over the last 2 decades plus. And currently, what I'm doing is um, whatever sales experience that I've acquired over the last 2 decades, I'm utilizing that for my consulting role. So currently, what I'm currently doing is I'm operating as a sales consultant for various brands, and this is leveraging my sales experience over the last 2 decades plus, leveraging my connections, industry connections that I've developed. That's what I'm doing currently.
ब्रिलियंट शकु सो अगर मैं गलत नहीं हूँ तो आपने ट्राई किया था इंडियन आर्मी में you were aspiring and then you did an attempt quite a few and went to Allahabad but disheartened came back to Bangalore and then someone took you to for the HCL as an interview and that's how you got started. So if I'm not mistaken, you are from Bangalore itself, right?
Yes, I'm a Bangalorean by birth and born and brought up in this place, in the beautiful city, Garden City. Yeah.
It is, of course. So sales as a profession, it has a very bad reputation with respect to what I say as a career option in the market. At the same time, in entire as a career profession, if I say. So if I have to say that one of the major reason that जो कि generally बोला जाता है ये target based है, वो target achieve nahi ho pata hai, then there's it's not only about the pressure, even in fact with respect to the language that is being used as a sales altogether profession is very disheartening at the same time. It's very rude and shrewd at the same time. So is that a really so difficult or is that a उसका कुछ एक अलग side भी है? I mean, how is that altogether? आपके
No, या इसका पूरा एक अलग साइड भी है. Before that, I would like to talk about why would someone take sales as a profession, you know. So so far, what I've noticed is in my two decades plus experience in the being in the industry, which is IT industry, IT hardware, IT sales basically, is that people um, opt for sales mostly not out of choice because they are not able to pursue other career options. This becomes the last resort and they fall back on sales as a profession. I've noticed that most cases, of course, there are few people who opt sales as their profession by choice. I've noticed that. That is answering whether people go for sales as a profession by choice or no. The other part of the question, what you asked is it really a difficult profession to be because you have targets to achieve, you're under constant pressure? My answer is it's not that bad. It's not at all that bad if it is done in the right manner with proper guidance. So it all depends on who your manager is, and if he can mentor you well, and if he can guide you well, and if you do the right steps, there are the standard steps in sales, in the sales process, that you, if you follow, sales is not a difficult job. Sales is very rewarding. I would say it's one of the most rewarding jobs anywhere you can see.
Okay, okay. So I think one line है जो कि मैंने समझा है जिसमें आपने you rightly highlighted the people who does not get anything else, they either they buy the hook and crook they put in the sales. Even in the management colleges as well, most of the company those who come for the marketing placement is largely fall into the sales as a bracket. Yeah, you're right, go there. And then with respect to the management part, I guess I'll be the right one to talk about it. But I guess that analogy goes for every profession, right? When you say that manager altogether, if you get mentored rightly, if you have the right set of leadership altogether to guide you, I guess that analogy goes almost every profession, not alone the sales. But sales ka फिर भी reputation as in terms of using the harsh language and then the I don't know use that slangs as a MCBC that goes very prominent across horizontal of the sales and the industry. क्यों
I'll
है
tell you
ऐसा मतलब
why having a right mentor, I mean, right manager as a mentor makes a big difference in sales is because sales cannot be taught from you. You don't learn sales uh, from a college or university, right? Sales is mostly a, you go
training with
untrained into the, you go untrained into the profession, unlike any other profession you take, where the you are trained to become that person. For example, if you are a software engineer, uh, you are trained to become a software engineer. Your college or your university teaches you to be a software engineer. If you're a doctor, you're obviously learning and going. Whereas sales, it can be for anyone who's graduated or even not graduated, he can get into sales, right? So it's not a trained profession, So what is so critical for someone to be successful in sales is when he gets started uh, as a career into sales, it is so important that his immediate manager, who would be his first mentor, guides him the right way. If he is not guided properly, if he doesn't understand the whole sales process properly, then he will struggle, because if you don't follow those steps, you'll be an average performer. You'll not be a great performer. If you have to be the best sales guy, you have to follow those certain steps, and that can only be taught by an experienced manager.
So going by that analogy, Suku, because when you are mentioning as any profession and sorry, any degree that can get into the sales, would it be fair to assume that for the sales as an altogether profile, your degree does not define the degree of success or that you'll get in the sales like most of the profession has?
Absolutely. So your educational background contributes very less to the success in sales. But of course, one thing which will really contribute to your success in sales is your communication skills. And communication skills, obviously, you develop from your education, right? Starting from your schooling to college, you need to have a very good command over the languages, right? Mostly English, because English, at least uh, at least in India, is the primary language of communication. So primary medium of communication. So if you don't have a good command over the language, it becomes very difficult for you to be persuasive, and that is one of the most important attribute of a good salesperson. So communication skill is very, very important. So your education plays a role there. Yeah, but then the stream that you learn does not really matter. So at least when I started my career in IT sales, those days, because of the general context those days was that you had to have some background in IT. You need to have you had to have IT knowledge to be successful in sales of IT. Uh, but over a period, if you see over the last 2 decades, um, things have changed dramatically. These days, you see a commerce student in IT sales. You have somebody who's done arts in IT sales. So the the educational background really doesn't matter when it comes to sales. Sales is all about the biggest driver is your passion. If you're passionate about it, you will be successful. Knowledge can be acquired anytime. Product knowledge can be acquired. The industrial knowledge can be acquired with little bit of effort. But what is important is the flair that you need to have as a salesperson, the passion that you need for you to be successful in the profession. That's most important.
To the pointer that you highlighted with respect to the communication, Suku, and over and above, you highlighted the fact about if you are operating in India, English has to be good. I have a slightly different opinion with respect to are you referring alone to the IT and hardware? Because, and my experience, if you'll ask me, if somebody is operating in the FMCG industry, somebody is operating into the industrial manufacturing, probably language may not be as barrier because if had it been Bangalore or if you're referring to the major city, then English makes a difference. But if you're operating in any other city or maybe the tier two, tier three based on, because if I'm not mistaken, अगर मैं किसी को कुछ प्रोडक्ट बेचने जाता हूँ इंटर रीजनल मार्केट देन इंग्लिश डज नॉट शुड नॉट बी अ बैरियर एट ऑल.
You're absolutely right, Kamlesh. Maybe at as a starting point, depending on which place you are in, which industry you are in, I mean, which uh, category of product that you're selling, language may not be a barrier. You could be, but you need to have a command over the the local language, the language that you would use in your sales line. So assume that you are in some remote place in India, and if Hindi is the primary language there where people communicate in Hindi, you obviously need to have a good command over Hindi there. But having said that, you're not going to be sticking to the same level, right? You're moving up the chain, right?
करेक्ट.
When you move up the chain, you don't know where you land up, right? You'll not be in the same place. You could be traveling, you could be moving to another city, uh, so on and so forth. So as you move up and across, uh, there will be a situation where you will need command. You will need to develop your command over English as well because that will become your primary language. So from that perspective, English
फॉर
becomes
श्योर.
very important. Yeah, but then
करेक्ट.
yeah, having knowledge of any other language is a big advantage.
ट्रू ट्रू.
Like for example, if you are a great sales guy in India and you have a command over English and you also know French,
फ्रेंच.
if you know French, right,
ओके.
you have a great advantage of if you can move to Canada. There are certain provinces in Canada where people only speak French,
करेक्ट. करेक्ट.
right? So that's a great advantage. So it's not necessarily English, but it English would be a key driver for you, but knowing other languages is also a huge plus.
Thank you, Suku. So this gives a gist about with respect to the professional front. What the intention of this entire conversation is to know about how does the sales usually has been considered as a profession that has a very profound impact on your personal life. So would you mind to share any of the anecdote जहाँ पे आपका जो profession है because you have had been dealing with the people because you have had been negotiating with the folks around and so on and so forth because it does not only include that you go and sell the product, it also includes the entire life cycle. How does it help you in maneuvering your day-to-day life? Any anecdote or say story that you would like to highlight?
There are many stories that I would have to share. Sales is something which helps you in various aspects of your life, because sales by nature is about being persuasive, right? You persuade someone on your point of view, or on something that you want to convince the other person, right? So the persuasive nature of yours, or sales as such, really helps you in convincing the other person that you want to convince. So sales is, as I was saying, it is highly persuasive. Persuasive nature of sales helps you convince people. So the most funniest anecdote I can use is when mine is a love marriage. Uh, so um, so I had to convince a lot of people, starting with my own folks, that is my parents. Uh, but there I didn't have to use my sales skills much. But of course, my in-laws, my you know would-be in-laws, I would say, and all my um fiance's, relatives. I had to use my sales skills to actually convince them that I'm the right person for their girl. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so whatever the intention of asking this question was to, what are the skills that ideally helps in when it comes to the implementing those skills that you are already implementing in your professional life, जो कि आपकी regular life में help करती है. So one of the factor that anyways you have highlighted, that you become very persuasive in nature in general as well, rather than generally क्या होता है कि आप, if I'll take an example of any other profession that does not need a lot of people management or maybe people interaction, वहाँ पे एक दो attempt करते हैं and then they give up. So maybe one of the major factor. What are the other things that as per your experience that makes a major difference?
One of the other things is to handling objections. So in sales, you come across a lot of objections, right?
Okay.
It's straight. Sales is not very straightforward, in the sense you just don't carry a product or a service to a customer and he looks at it and he is going for it, right? There are a lot of objections that you have to handle. Simple reason, uh, a customer might ask you saying, okay, uh, he'll compare you with 10 other alternatives. So how are you going to handle such objections? So that's another skill in sales, which is very very important in life that you can apply. So for example, uh, with your own say relatives, or your siblings, or your parents, there can be a lot of objections that they can raise for anything. So it is your sales skill to handle those objections and make a compelling story to convince them. So that's a very important sales skill. So this is another uh, aspect of sales which you would use in daily sales. I mean daily life. Sorry.
Correct, correct. I think at the same time, what I also might believe, what my experience has says, one of the major thing that we all learn, especially from the sales as a profession, is rejections. Because हमें कभी सिखाया नहीं जाता है बचपन से rejections को handle कैसे करते हैं. And especially when you are dating someone, as in terms of love life, anything that comes very often as a one of the aspect. But I guess rejections have become a part of your life, whether in terms of interviews, whether in terms of n number of factors are there.
Correct. You're absolutely right. So when I said handling objections, objection also includes rejections. So yeah, we as salespeople here, we get rejected most often. Most often, you get rejected, right? So how do you convert that rejections into, you convert that into a win? That purely depends on your skill, how you handle it. you know. So for example, there's a bit of psychology also involved in sales, right?
If you
A
said
lot of
one or two example.
okay, I can give you some examples. If you really classify people generally across, there are three kinds of people.
Okay,
Somebody, there are very social people. So
correct.
somebody like you and me. So we come across as very social, meaning we mingle, we say hello, we smile at each other, and there is so we are very social. So with social people, obviously you need to be social, but there is another kind of people which are the detached people, right? Detached people would be like someone, typically people in procurement. They have a very detached demeanor. So they'll have a straight face. They'll not even smile. They'll not even interact. They'll not even reciprocate to whatever you say. How do you deal with them? You know? So
Okay,
detached people don't like beating around the bush. They like facts. That's it. So you ensure that you're giving only facts to those people. You
okay.
have to
So
be
you in dealing people based on their personality.
personalities, right? So the third kind of people are dominant people.
Okay, okay,
They will
okay,
not let you speak a word. They will dominate a conversation. If you become very submissive to a dominant person, you've lost it. You've lost the battle. You have to be dominant with a dominant person.
okay,
So, for example, when you're handling CXOs, CXOs are generally dominant people. Generally, I'm not saying all, mostly, because they are in a position which kind of gives them that leverage that
sort of.
they are in that dominant position, so they try to dominate over you. But then you need to stand up and you also be dominant. So dominance kills dominance. Whereas if you become very submissive, that's it. You're trampled and you're gone. So
Okay,
this is what you this is a psychological part which you learn in sales over a period. For some people, it comes naturally. Some salespeople, for some people, they learn this. In my case, I learned it from someone senior that this is how you handle, and I've applied that in my sales career, and it has helped me a lot because um, what happens at least initially in your sales career is that you are more of a chatterbox. You keep talking, or what do you call? I would put it as you do something called verbal diarrhea, right? You just
correct.
go dump something verbally on your prospect, whoever you want to talk to, right? That's a wrong approach. The right approach is you need to be a good listener first. Listen to the person on the other side, understand his personality, okay, and then you react. So you need to do questioning, you need to ask a lot of questions, listen to the response, and basis which you then make a move, then you do the talking, right? So most of the sales guys are, you know they just blabber a lot, uh, but a good listener, a sales guy is someone who's a good listener. So if you listen, you are a better salesperson because you can respond better and you can make a pitch better.
I think that's one analogy that actually ideally works across, and that makes a major difference with respect to there's a statement I remember I have read somewhere that the world is full of speaker and at the same time it's very there are very few people those who actually are in position or are able to active listening what it's called as a so we need some
Yes.
people that rightly put it across. So there is also a statics in the research. There is an assumption at the same time. There says that being in a sales profession altogether is the best way to grow up in the ladder in the career. Is that a real fact, or is it like just to promote the altogether sales as a profession, people keep on selling them? Because I myself have been in the journey where companies visit colleges, campus placement, and so on, and that the way they put the statics all together, is that the real case, or is it because the people do not volunteer to join as a sales profession, companies try to put it likewise?
Not really. I mean, see, the thing is, um, be it any profession, if you want to really thrive in that profession, you need to really go through the rigors of the profession and excel in the profession. Likewise, in sales as well, if you really want to excel, you need to improve yourself in the profession, acquiring new skills all the time, understanding and applying the actual sales process. What is the sales process? So I myself have visited, and I've been a trainer myself, so I've trained a lot of people in sales. And one thing I've noticed in a lot of organizations, I'm talking of sales organization, is that uh, the salespeople make a lot of mistakes. They don't understand the difference between a lead and a prospect and a customer,
So are you
right?
referring to the someone who has started their career, or you're also referring to the those who are the
Even the people who have been in the profession, they make this mistake,
okay, okay,
right? So I help them differentiate between what is a lead, who's a prospect, and who's a customer, right? Generally,
uh,
you see these sales guys call a prospect a customer. He's not a customer till you have sold something to him, right? So, so one is you need to identify what these steps, various steps are. Like you start from lead, then it's a prospect, then he becomes a customer, right? So the whole process, it's a 7 step process. I wouldn't want to talk about it now because uh, so one needs to go through the 7 steps of the sales process to be successful. And a salesperson becomes successful when he goes through the rigors of these 7 steps. If he doesn't do that, success is not guaranteed. Yeah, he may become successful here and there. He may have one or two wins, but if he has to if a salesperson is considered successful if he's hitting the target or the quota quarter on quarter, year on year, right? And that's how he moves up the ladder. And for him to do that, if he consistently follows these steps, he will be successful.
okay. So there is also, I mean, with respect to the mindset, if I say, in India, there is a very strong mindset with respect to Sasta Sundar Tikau. How do you see that this has changed? How has it been changed even? Because India considered as a very price sensitive market. And there are several such cases are there. The companies like Netflix, there's another Spotify, and they are struggling to even to make a money out of it, even today. So most of these companies are running in a loss. So how do you see this? Has this trend has been changed or is still there? Because I remember when I was trying to sell something when I was running my own company, it's difficult as literally it's really challenging when it comes to the services. So has it been changed or
Of course, the Indian market, the Indian consumer mentality has changed, has evolved over a period. Um, that's a fact. But if your question is Indian consumer still price sensitive? The answer is yes. Um, but having said that, um, sales also has evolved a lot in India, be it retail sales or be it business B2B business. Now, salespeople have really understood how to sell value than selling based on price, right? Uh, so the definition of value is If a customer is paying 10 rupees, okay, what is the value that he's getting, right? What is the value? So if the salesperson is able to sell the value to him, right, saying you're spending 10 rupees, but you're getting 100 rupees worth value on the
Right.
product that you're acquiring. So this has changed in India. People have understood the difference between price based buying and the other one being the value based buying. So that is the reason why this thing has evolved. The phrase that value for money thing in India, if you see, has become very very common. And one classic example for this would be Maruti cars.
Okay, correct.
Maruti cars are not cheap cars. Maruti cars are value for money. Value for money is that they create a value. Say if someone is spending 5 lakhs for a car, but he gets a value of 7 or 8 lakhs, you know, that is a value. He gets so many features, so many things. He gets better service, better after sales service, quality product, um, you know, you know, no headache, uh, you know, uh, product, cost of ownership is low. These are different values, right? And that is what is value selling. And the consumer has understood that. And Maruti is successful even today with about 43% market share in a crowded place with so many other brands. Maruti has maintained that dominance is because of that, the value selling. So, to answer your question, yes, the Indian market has changed from Sasta Tikau to what it is today. Yeah.
Good. So, with respect to sales as a profession, I mean, does my assumption say that it helps in very much in terms of building your personal branding? आपका खुद it's not only about building a personality, rather you as an individual, but at the same time it also creates a, if I take you example altogether, Suku as a altogether personal branding. How does that goes? Any of the anecdote or any story that you would like to highlight, part?
Yeah, I mean, see, it helps a lot. Sales as a profession does help contribute a lot to your personal branding. It does. The reason being, sales as a profession by nature involves you interacting and engaging with a lot of people across industries, across the various streams. So when you're engaging with people, and to be successful in sales, one other aspect is relationship building or rapport building, right? If you need to be good at that, and when you're
Correct.
doing that, when you're building rapport with someone, you're building a relationship with that person, right? And when you build relationship with some person, you're actually building your network. You are expanding your network, right? So when you do that, you become, as a result of that, you become more popular, right? Many people know you, right? And if you have done something significant in the industry, you're well known for it. Your people associate you with certain success factors, right? And by virtue of being connected with so many people, helps you with, obviously you have a brand name built over a period, and that is something which is a great leverage for a salesperson. Yeah, definitely it builds your branding.
So going by that same analogy, what has been also said, sales helps you in building resilience and grit overcoming, I mean, in terms of everyday's life challenge. So if any of the example that, rather I'm actually example पे highlight करना चाहता हूँ, because that helps you in connecting the dots rather. Because going by the philosophy, वो कहते हैं ना ज्ञान देना आसान है, but implement करना मुश्किल है. If any of the story that you may share with us with respect to how does this sales as a altogether, because you have had been doing for over the 2 decades, how has it been helped in making you more grit or the overcoming challenges with respect to everyday's life? And yeah, any highlight that you may share with us?
Yes. As I told you, in sales, you most often you face objections, rejections most often. So uh, so when you approach a prospect or a lead, the first thing you hear is a no. So we are not interested. Come back later. I'll let you know, and so on and so forth. So these are objections that I have faced personally in my sales career. More, I mean, a zillion times. And what?
Also have you in your dating life?
Yeah, of course, it does. It did. Yeah.
Because usually the very first thing girls say is no, and then you got to be consistent about it.
Yeah, this is a topic for another day, but I can give you some tips on how to become successful in the first attempt itself. But when it comes to sales, um, I must say that grit and determination, you start acquiring that skill over a period when you consistently face rejections, right? So I can give you an excellent anecdote. So my boss and I had been to, I won't name the customer. Yeah, they are a large FMCG company. Okay. So I went there the first time, and I wanted to meet the head of procurement because he's the
Okay.
decision maker. The lower level guy did not let me in. He said, "Sorry, we don't even have a requirement. Please don't even come." So I tried 3 to 4 times to reach out uh, to to see how I can get an audience with the head of procurement for my boss who was coming down, and he wanted me to fix an appointment with that head of procurement, who was a very senior most person. Um, I tried my level best to uh, uh, you know get over this person, and then I just came up with some idea in my mind. So I just tried it and it worked. And I said, I told this person who was an assistant procurement manager, I just told him that I have um what do you call, a crazy deal that I want to offer on the products that we were trying to sell, and I will only do this if you let me meet up with your manager. And if you can do that, I will let that will be great.
So
So I
did
just
you
tried it. I just tried it. I said I have a crazy deal, and I of course I had the market intelligence that they are buying certain products.
okay?
Okay. And there was an RFQ floated, and it was not floated to us, but it was floated to a competitor. So I knew that they're going to buy, and I told them that I have a crazy deal for that. And honestly, there was nothing. I just came up with this line, and he said, "Okay, come back to me. We'll fix on so and so date." And he gave me a date. And then the most interesting aspect was my boss, who was the CEO of the company, and I had an audience with the head of procurement of a very large FMCG company. And we went there. My boss made a huge pitch about us. Okay. And the head of procurement patiently heard us. Okay. And he said, "Thank you so much for your pitch, but I'm sorry, we will not be buying anything from you. The reason being, we have a policy that we buy directly from the brand. And you are a system integrator, so we will not buy from you. I'm sorry, the system doesn't allow us to buy from you. Thank you so much." But then my boss, I learned this from my boss. Okay. My boss said he didn't get up from there. He said, "Okay, I understand that." Then he was so spontaneous. My boss. I mean, he's also a great salesperson. He's one of the industry bigwig. He said, "Okay, sir, tell me something. How many offices do you have? You have offices all across India?" He said, "Yes, we have more than 20 offices across the country." "Do you have printers?" He said, "Yes, we have printers all across the country." Then he asked a question, "Do you know what is how do each of these offices procure cartridges?" I said, they whenever there is a requirement in their local office, they buy it from a local stationery shop or a local supplier. Okay. Uh, okay. Then he said, okay, now what if I help you save 20% on the total cartridge procurement that you do across the country? That's it. The procurement head ka antenna खड़ा हो गया. बोलता है, how did you come up with that 20%? He said, "No, I can." So, okay, prove it to me. He said, "Okay." So, what we will do is we will keep a central, we'll keep this inventory of uh, all the possible cartridges that you would buy across the country in one location. We will implement a software in your offices, and any user he wants to buy a cartridge, we will have a rate contract saying anywhere in India you buy this cartridge, it'll be at a standard price. Okay. And it will be delivered in so many hours when you order. And we will maintain the inventory. And I can prove to you right now that each state, each city that your people are buying, they're buying at different rates. Here, the rates are going to be flat, and this will be at this discount we will offer you. Wow. He was convinced. He said, "Make a proposal, come back to us. We will buy from you." Okay. So I'm just giving you an example of how to, it's an example of grit and, resilience and determination. So many attributes that you can talk about that you would apply in sales, right? Um, so in this example, uh, typical sales guy would have just said, "Okay, sir, thank you so much. I'm sorry, it's fine. It is nice meeting you," and we would have walked off, right? But that is one thing that I learned from my boss that day, that never walk off the room without being creative. You need to be creative. And that is another attribute of a salesperson. He's generally very creative, very, very creative. So that's it. So you need to find opportunities. And yeah, that's, I hope I was able to share some interesting story there.
Of course, Suku. So it does helps in understanding that it's when you say grit and challenges, of course, is a part of life, but the way you handle it is with respect to the people in day-to-day activity, and as you said, it is rightly spontaneity is what makes it difference altogether.
Absolutely. Spontaneity is one other attribute of a great salesperson. You have to be spontaneous, you have to be creative. And believe me, you can be a successful salesperson if you do this.
True, true. Over a period of time, बहुत कोई realize होते हैं later part of the time the importance of the sales, because initially because we all come with us such a mindset कि boss ये सही है ये गलत है, probably this might be the wrong career for me, this might be the right for me, because we all comes with a certain condition. But later part of the time we all quite often we do realize with respect to the options as a sales as a profession, it is good to pursue. Maybe once you have experience or once you have been into the career profession of almost 5 years, 10 years, and so on and so forth. But it becomes very difficult to change the career later part of the time. So, do you have any suggestion those who are aspiring as such altogether? Suppose they are into the different profession, but now they just want to jump into the sales altogether. But with respect to when it comes to the acceptance of there as a candidature, it's very difficult. So, do you have any recommendation or any suggestion for someone who is willing to move altogether their career into the sales after spending some substantial amount of time of their career into different profession?
So my answer to that is it all depends on the person who wants to really change over to sales. obviously, my advice is anybody can become a salesperson if he's willing to acquire those essential skills that you need to be successful in this profession. But it comes with a disclaimer that not everyone will be successful in this profession unless you have those attributes that a typical salesperson is supposed to have. So if you don't have that, and uh, if you don't, you need a mentor for someone who's shifting gear from a non-sales profession into sales. He needs to have a mentor. Okay, this mentor can actually identify whether he's fit for sales or not. Not everyone can. Yeah, I can give you a real life situation where in my I was a manager to someone who was a tech guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he happened to join my organization as a salesperson. Okay,
Okay.
uh, uh, I recruited him because he performed well in the interview. Okay, and unfortunately, he was not successful in sales, and I could sense that in about 3 months, yeah, 3 or 4 months, yeah. But then I counseled him. I made him sit. I said, "Look, you're a great person, but you're not fit for sales." And he took my advice very seriously, and I guided him, in fact, what profession he needs to go into, where he needs to pursue, and he moved. And today he's a great data scientist.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So to in short, if you ask me, can anyone jump into sales? No. He or she needs to have that flair for the profession, else success is not guaranteed.
Perfect, Suku. This is the first time that मुझे भी for the first time that I'm getting a flair with respect to sales, as in not though I have had a clue that it does impact and your personal life and the day-to-day activity, but with respect to real-time life and then examples, and this is the first time for me as well. So thank you so much for your input and thank you for your time.
No problem. It was such a pleasure, Kamlesh. It was uh, for me. It was more interesting because I could reminisce all my past experiences. My thoughts went back to those interesting what do you call engagements, interactions, and the struggles of my career. You know. So I must share this with you that there was a point in my life, in my career, I'm talking about, that I considered that, oh, this sales is a lousy profession. I need to come out of it. And that was a period where I was going through a lean patch where I was not able to convert opportunities into sales, right? But then with right mentorship, you if you get good managers, good people to mentor you, you become successful. And in my case, same thing happened. I was fortunate enough to get some good mentors who guided me the right way, and I was very successful. I can say proudly that I was successful, and today I am what I am is because of my sales career.
I guess throughout the conversation, आपने constantly highlight किया because uh, I have been into the corporate for over 10 years, but the way you have highlighted every now and then mentor, 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 mentor. I guess more than any other profession, sales is some looks like is one of the professions जहाँ mentor plays a very, very, very crucial role.
Of course, mentor plays a huge role, and mentors can come in various form. In the
So,
sense, he can be your immediate manager, or he could be some industry leader
okay,
who's connected with you.
correct.
So it may not be your because not all sales guys are fortunate to have a good manager. You know,
True, true, true. No,
yeah.
I'm
So.
Well, not everybody is fortunate to have a good manager. That's very straight from the heart that I may say.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, I fully endorse that fact. Yeah. So you
So
need to have a good manager, no doubts.
great. Great to know, Suku. This helps in understanding little more another dynamics of the sales also, guys. So thank you so much for your input.